It's time to put the final touches here on Bob's Zenith radio, that being the K731 from the early 1960s. Really cool radio. I appreciate him giving me the opportunity to get the new grill cloth in for him. At the same time, went on and got rid of the old selenium rectifier. It's still in place for aesthetic purposes, but put a new modern day diode in place and increase the resistor value just a bit there to get the B+ voltage where it needed to be. Bob sent me a replacement line cord here, and we'll use it. And I'm going to tidy up this side of the line cord here by removing the tape, get a little heat shrink on there. Make sure we're good to go. And I've just got 4 connection points here to make back to the loop antenna and the external connection antenna location here. We'll come back, play the radio, make sure everything's still good with the volume control, the tone control, which was really nasty. A lot of noise and static. I took a closer look at the line cord that Bob provided and found out that the length of this cord, which I've already cut here just past the tape, is only about 2 inches less length than the original line cord. So it really just provides me an opportunity to go ahead and just put a polarized plug on this end and forego doing the splicing and the heat shrink. Now, Bob, the only thing I have as far as a polarized plug, because I want the chassis itself to be ground. However, as I mentioned in the previous video, this is a hot chassis set, so always keep that in mind if you're operating it. But I'm going to put this particular plug on for now. You can change this out later if you elect to do so. The others that I have here in my little toolbox are not polarized. So this kind of predates this particular radio, but keep in mind what I said about being a hot chassis set. You can see I've got everything in place here. I'll go ahead and get the cap here on the end and just a small piece of heat shrink right here just to clean things up. And the polarization at this point doesn't matter, so I just picked a conductor and attached it. When I attach this back to the back plane itself, I'll just make sure the polarity is correct. This location here goes back to chassis ground, so that will be the big plug right here, with the hot side being here, which will attach on this side. Okay, I think that looks good, and let me get this little cap here in place. I think that snapped in place there. I'll double check that in just a moment, but I think we're close there. Okay, just double checking myself here on the switch. I'm just taking a moment here to identify my ground connection, and it's this side of the plug. So we've already said this was chassis ground on this side right here. So I'll just make certain when I put this back through, I invert this. I'll get the clip on, and that will at least force the ground location of the plug back over to chassis ground. Again, for folks just getting started in the hobby, this is a hot chassis set, so always keep that in mind if you're operating it without an isolation transformer. One more quick check just to make sure I've got this line correctly. So I'll slip this on and go ahead and fire up the soldering iron again and get these other connections here made. I just double checked my documentation here just to make certain I had everything attached back correctly. I'm going to get the alcohol out right now and just clean things up just a bit here where I made the solder connections and get the back secured. Radios really have some bass. It's amazing. Looking at the Variac, everything looks really stable voltage wise, and AC current looks right in line as well. And you can see the beautiful grill cloth that Bob selected here for the restoration, and it went in great, looks good. Before I conclude the video, I just wanted to do a call out. I appreciate Bret jumping in. You guys check out his YouTube channel. There's some great content in there from the past, and I think there's some recent activity as well. But Bret informed me and educated me on the UL captive knob that Zenith, I think, and others used back in the day. So again, this being a hot chassis set, you don't want to come in contact with metal, and this was a way to keep everything in place so you can get your hands back in there. You can see the collar here that goes on the shaft of the knob, and these little fingers keep the knob from pulling off. Of course, I was able to get them off. Not probably the proper technique, but I was fortunate here to get them off without creating any damage. Bob, if you're watching the video, I've elected not to put these back on, just in case you have to get back in here to the receiver. And what I've used is just some rubber product here to help support the knobs against the shaft. So they're on there fairly tight, but they can definitely come off as needed for servicing the radio. But I just wanted to show these for folks that hadn't had a chance to see, what a captive knob looks like, or this little retainer here that keeps everything in place. So folks, I'm going to go ahead and let this play here in the shop for a period of time, and just make sure it's good to go. And Bob, I'll send you an email when it's ready to leave here and head back your way. I appreciate you guys watching this little quick repair, restoration, new grill cloth installation on this Zenith K731 from the early 1960s.